Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan. And today, as you can see, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon by talking about uh, their stores, their theme parks, merchandising, whatever the case may be, the films or whatever. So this is actually going to be a follow-up to a video I've already did. I wasn't really planning on it, but then again, I saw, what you would say, a window of opportunity to talk about just one aspect of the story. Of course, primarily centered around Jabba the Hutt and his crew, family, or whatever you call that. I guess you can say, or any other crime lords, perhaps. I guess you can say. Of course, having some sort of ripple effect to some extent, in some ways. And before anyone says anyone, in case anyone didn't see the first part, I know before anyone says anything in the comment section, I know having this kind of a crossover, it sounds too out there, no pun intended. It sounds, yes, yeah, it's going to sound in a lot of people's ears that this kind of a crossover just seems too absurd to happen. It sounds too crazy to have actually happen in film. Yes, I do realize that having this actually be made into a movie, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen ever. I get that, but this is me, just like we were saying in the previous video, think of it like an exercise in creative writing, so to speak. You think of it in that approach, of course. And this is like, when it comes to having crossovers, these are like the two most unlikely ever to actually occur. Again, I get that. Get it? Get it? Get that. Just like we were saying in my previous video, and in case anyone actually saw it, just bear with me, folks, okay? Just bear with me, all right? Just throwing that out there. I know. It sounds too odd for this kind of a thing to actually occur. These two crossovers, which I get, yes, okay. But all right, with that being said, let's just get into it, shall we? So here we go. This is more of a response of what Princess Anna, at the very least, had started, because she, just like what Princess Leia did in the Return of the Jedi, where the Hunt, yeah, Huts had, well, at least one of them, because when you think about it, this is like a species that we're talking about here. At least one of these creatures had been murdered. Of course, if you kill one, he's going to upset the other. So it's kind of like a chain reaction kind of a thing, of course. And in the previous video, it was mentioned only one of them was killed off because she was forced. Her hand into this kind of a thing. Her hand was forced into this kind of situation, but trying to look at the bright side of it all anyway. And it's something she has to, deal with. A life was taken, even though she didn't really want to. That's something you build upon as well. But then Queen Elsa trying to calm her down, of course. Even though you can always argue taking a life, it was always wrong no matter what. But, that's something you build upon as well. But of course, there's always more than one type of criminal in the Star Wars universe. And this is especially true if you read the books, comics, so on and so forth. While you may not see a whole lot of them in the movies themselves, but you're going to see more in expanded universe lore. So, yeah, if you're familiar with this kind of a thing, you already know there's going to be an ass load of these types of stuff, of course. So that's something you do have to keep in mind, of course. One of these creatures being killed off is, of course, is going to spread like fire, understandably so. Yes, okay. You could just always argue that is rather embarrassing as well, getting killed off by just one woman, not just any woman, mind you, but a princess nonetheless. And she's fairly skinny when you think about it. And but yeah, that's something to think about, of course. And so, of course, there's gonna be some people who had worked with him. I was gonna, I guess, redeem the reputation. I guess you would say. And I know. I mentioned in the previous video a revenge subplot, kind of, no, okay, not a revenge subplot, but a revenge thing that would occur. But since that's been dealt with, you gotta use something else to expand upon for this. Speaking of a chain reaction, I'm pretty sure a lot of you are at least somewhat familiar with the one game Rogue Agent, that one James Bond game type of thing. It's like a hypothetical situation where it's not really canon to any other James Bond games, but the basic idea is that the villains are well, at least vast majority of the villains, if not all, are in one game, will fighting against each other. So what we can do here is that kind of take that and just have Princess Anna team up with other criminals by paying them off or whatever, or at least a specific group of criminals anyway, and just fight off the other any other hunt clans. Jabba the Hutt, Ocus, like any friends or relatives he might have, because again, we're talking about big species here. It's been around for quite some time. And for the sake of keeping things a bit more, simple and not making this idea like overly complicated or anything, which can easily get out of hand rather fast. Let's just say, just maybe certain sections of the Outer Rim and whatnot would be kind of looked after, I guess, at least to some extent, because it's like an outlaw kind of a place, like the Wild Wild West kind of a thing, where maybe I guess the good guy team, but that would be the New Republic at this point, after like what the Return of the Jedi, I believe, if I'm getting that correct there, would have at least a fairly decent grasp on of when it comes to like politics, that and all that when it comes to having some sort of pull, of course, and influence. At least have a better grasp, because in this situation, I guess you would say, to make sure, I guess they could actually help up Princess Anna, of course. But let's just keep that in mind for this kind of a. The reason behind of this, of what I'm saying, is to at least have something stabilized, even if it's just to some extent in the outer rim. I guess you would say, at least to some extent. And this is, of course, just trying to make the everything not too chaotic, even though it will be, at least in some ways, it will be actually chaotic, at least in some ways. So I just thought this could be, of course, could be a good way to create tension, create some sort of. Since the Disney princess movies are often tend to have some sort of grand adventure anyway, this alone could be used as an excuse to have her go on an adventure, of course, even though she's pretty much have I guess you would say still dangerous, because she might not even make it out alive, of course. But hey, we have to make this storyline exciting, to at least in some way, I guess, when you think about it. Of course, there's going to be smuggling involved. But yeah, of course, because we're dealing with the vast majority of the characters are, of course, criminals. So, of course, they're going to do things that's not really according to a moral compass or what is according to the law, of course. And yes, Princess Anna, even she realizes that the Separatists, even though they were wiped out at a certain period of time in the Star Wars expanded universe, point being, she knows a bit of history when it comes to this kind of stuff, because even the group I just mentioned couldn't be controlled completely. Nor the Empire, obviously, which, yes, I'm separating those two, of course, because, like I said, there's be different groups of criminals throughout Star Wars, which realistically speaking, does make sense, because just think of like how it is in America. Just because there's one criminal doing this or that doesn't mean that said criminal is going to be a part of any other groups. Could be a solo thing, or even if like think of like gangs. Not every single gang member is going to be with any other gang. Of course, it's going to be they'll have loyalty to somebody else, of course, and whatnot. Just think like that, how it is in real life when you think about it. Just because someone is a criminal, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get along with literally any other criminal in existence. Of course not. They have their own belief system. They have their own what they think to be right and what they think to be wrong. Of course, you just have to apply that over here. Same kind of thing. Obviously, let's just say that it's not that easy at all, because she does need some extra assistance when it comes to this kind of a thing, because it's gonna be way too much for one single individual to handle all this. And yes, even for a single army, they're gonna. I mean, granted, when you think about it, when it comes to politics, a princess can only have so much power. When you think about, so you think logically speaking, Queen should do a lot of this. But let's just say, yes, Queen Elsa would have a hand at this as well, because why not? For logic. But yeah, and I was saying that this species of characters, these women, that's in fact in part of Star Wars, of course. They're supposed to be like these warrior type women, and of course, let's just say both sisters would, of course, recruit them as a well, at least a few of them in a way, to be part of a team. since they know how to battle anyway, they know how to fight, they know how to do this kind of stuff anyway, and they don't get talked about that much anyway among the Star Wars fans, which another reason I was trying to include them in the narrative, of course, somehow. But I was trying to do it for story reasons, of course, so this entire thing can make sense, of course, and and just to get some clarification, it's not that time to talk down about any sexual acts as long as between two consenting adults, obviously. And yes, also I know when it comes to sexual assault, it does happen to men as well. I'm not saying it doesn't, okay? Just putting it out there. But let's just say, yeah, Princess Anna did hear some suspicious acts. That's not exactly flattering that had occurred to other species. The species of aliens, at least the male members had done something suspicious. Again, this goes in the other way around. It's not like women had done anything bad. I know that. These kinds of topics can also be brought up as well. Both genders can be just as bad as one another. That does happen. And which, of course, can be brought up, of course. This is not to, of course, bring down either gender in any shape or form. Or sex itself, like I just said, folks. Again, as long as between two consenting adults, not more. But moreover, and of course, we're going to also include maybe a few members of this alien species as well. Of course, like the first one I just showed you, will have, of course, their own culture and their own traditions, their own belief system and whatnot. And that can also come into play as well, of course, because like in real life, in different countries, different people, we have their own customs, their own traditions and whatnot. Same kind of thing will apply here when you think about it. And I'm not just saying that just to have lip service just for diversity, but you have to amount to the plot somehow. And these individuals, unfortunately, were yes within the context of the story of Star Wars, will unfortunately sexize as well, which is the crazy stuff that Princess Anna had been hearing about, which of course she would also report to Queen Elsa. Of, and as a way to, I guess, rise up against and battle the criminal acts, of course, and I guess have it more stabilized is what I'm getting at, of course, at least. Okay. Another race, another alien species that we join up, of course, should be something that a lot of fans of the series should be familiar with. And I just thought since we're trying to have like a female empowerment thing, but not seem so hand fisted, of course, it just depends how it's done, obviously. But the other group of characters that I want to bring up is this as well. And I thought it would make sense, of course, at least have some of them join up, of course, and just bring down the criminals, of course. Again, they may not defeat every single, of course, defeat every clan, every group of criminals, at least, bring enough stress upon them, at least defeat enough of them that to show that they are a group of individuals to be reckoned with, I guess you can say, to show who can actually be Top Gun, of course. And this is by no means trying to promote violence, anything, but violence itself should be should be a last resort, of course. What I'm talking about, you're trying to use diplomacy, but like I was saying, this is going to take place in the outer realm and doing such a thing is, of course, going to, be quite difficult because when it comes to laws and whatnot, it's basically like the Wild Wild West, so to speak, because there aren't any laws, right? There's pretty much governmentless. And so it's going to take it's going to be very difficult for the bad guys or the good guys to actually, have some sort of grip around this area, is what I'm getting at. You do have to keep that in mind, of course, because I know I said that in the previous video and I said that in this video as well. So it's not going to be exactly easy for either side to have some sort of grip in this entire thing as it is. Um, Regardless if it's for the good people or the bad people, either way from getting it, either side, regardless. But all right, one more species I want to bring up is this, which I'm pretty sure is probably definitely more well known compared to the others I just mentioned, of course. Um, it's not that you have to have the entire species, of course, but again, like, at least some of the members, of course, just like the previous species, I just mentioned, of course. And, just to they were also unfortunately, think like human trafficking, over here in the United States or in any other country, things like that. They were kidnapped and whatnot, or even killed off, of course. Yes, I know they just went on a really dark route. I know, and but then again, okay, what are you expecting exactly? We're dealing with a bunch of criminals here. That's what I'm getting at. So and basically, with Queen Elsa and Princess Anna, they were like, okay, the basic attitude towards them is that you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, kind of thing, because they need to get something out of it when it comes to politics. I mean, okay, fair enough. You can't just demand somebody to give you their free time and get nothing in return. No, what this is not, some sort of dictatorship kind of thing. You have to be fair. It's fair enough, of course. You have to help their countries. I mean, okay, their planets. I mean, but I'm getting out of here. But you have to get something out of it, which yes is understandably so. You got to be fair about it. Like the whole diplomacy thing I was mentioning a little earlier. You do have to keep that in mind, like I was saying. Anywho, of course, of course, a small group, kind of like what happened in The Force Awakens. It was like the Fourth Order, and people, regardless if there's any left over, which there would be, like what happened in the Book of Boba Fett, or the point being, there's still gonna be a lot of criminals, even after the events of the Return of the Jedi. Just because something that one, what I'm talking about, the one thing that happened to the Death Star. Uh, okay, twice. It happened twice. If you've seen the original films, you know what I'm talking about. That doesn't mean boom bang. Oh yeah, yeah. Those normal criminals, all the problems are fixed. No, no, it's not so clear cut. It's just more chaotic, is what I'm getting at. And yes, of course, everyone gives the Empire any credit. At least there was some order because their presence was so menacing. Nobody really dared to step out of line in any kind of shape or form. And if they want to do anything among themselves, they have to be really sneaky about it. They'll be really, really sneaky about it, of course. And but since again, if you know what happened in the films, you know what I'm talking about. So as a result of what had occurred in the original trilogy, it'd be basically anarchy. In the at least in the outer rim anyway. Um. So yeah, they won't have that big of a grasp like they might have since they had the Death Star and whatnot. So if anybody taking a step out of line, they would be severely punished. I mean, they still could. It's just going to be a lot more difficult to do so, obviously. Which, yes, is something that Queen Elsa and Princess Anna had to talk over. And just to be clear, folks. Yes, of course, when you think about it, the of course Olaf is going to be here. I don't know how he's going to play into this. The reindeer, and uh, of course Kristoff. I don't know how these characters are going to play into this somehow. I don't know. Maybe could make another one discussing this a bit further if I feel like it. I guess. I know there's some stuff I'm not getting too much into because this video is going to be about what over 20 minutes already. But it's basically just trying to expand upon what I've already done, like what will occur afterwards, what happened to Jabba the Hutt, of course, and after the fact that his son had taken revenge or whatever. Just keep that in mind, folks, of course. But all in all, is of course to try to have some sort of trying to take out the bad people, of course, and trying to take out the outer rim to at least at the very least get some help and do something at least to some extent, of course. Take care of matters, of course, which again, yes, it's not going to be exactly super easy, of course. Just like in real life, there's a bunch of criminals, there's a bunch of criminal organizations. Just because you knocked one down doesn't mean the others are going to fall. So yeah, just because it's from Disney, just because it's from a Disney princess thing, just because it's Star Wars, that alone doesn't mean you shouldn't be realistic. It doesn't mean you should have some sort of absurd thing. I know, like I was saying way earlier in the video, having these two franchises, having some sort of crossover. That in itself can be considered absurd, I guess. It's because it's insane when you think about it. Which, yes, I get that. I get it. Yes, I get it. But I'm just trying to work something into the story that would make logical sense somehow, of course, and whatnot. And like I said in my previous video, this doesn't mean it has to be in the same continuity as the previous two um, Disney films or anything else. For example, you can have elements from both franchises, of course. You can, so you know what I'm talking about. You can borrow elements and try to tie it together in some sort of fashion, of course. And I mean, think about it. And a lot of people, I know this is something I brought up in my other videos. A lot of people seem to think about it. What's more important, the premise itself, or is it the execution? Some people say it's the execution that's more important because you can take the most ridiculous idea and make it work. But in my honest humble opinion, it's both. You have to have both of these. The premise has to be good, it has to be workable, if that's a word. And of course, yeah, what matters is execution. I say both are very important, of course. And sometimes the premise itself can be so stupid, so dumb, so foolish, and really, stupid. It's not gonna work no matter how talented the writer is. But yeah, just throwing it out there, folks. And not that I'm trying to shoot down people's ideas or anything. That's not what I'm gonna say. If you're an aspiring filmmaker, if you're an aspiring, artist, if any kind, go for it. I'm not trying to shoot down anybody. That's not what I'm trying to aim for here. Okay, just. But of course, that's also assuming if the individual is a bigot. Of course, is a complete moron. But all right, that's not going into whole other subject matter. I'm trying to just stay on track here. But moreover, I'm just trying to, I guess, do something here. Like we're saying in my previous video, it doesn't have to be one movie. This can be just multiple shorts, like an OVA, like an anime OVA. Anime OVA just means original animation video, which just can be pretty short. They're always under an hour. So this can be ranged from between maybe 26 minutes and 53 minutes. So you still got some leg room to have a structure of a plot, but make it episodic, kind of, I guess, sort of. But this could work if done correctly, of course. And I know this just sounds like fan fiction, which yes, I know it sounds like that, but whatever, I guess. But anyway, I just thought I was just do this for a good moment. So I do appreciate anybody for watching these long ass videos. So I guess I'm just wrap it up already. So we'll see how things goes, I guess. So of course, as always, thanks for watching and take care. See ya. Oh yeah. Woohoo! Yeah.